Here's a thought. If you want He-Man fans to watch your show, try actually putting He-Man in the show. Of all the unforced errors I've seen in years, this is the dumbest. And I guess it makes sense that it was done by Hollywood's favorite stoner, Kevin Smith. As I'm sure most of you know, Kevin Smith pissed off He-Man fans by pulling a bait and switch with the Masters of the Universe Revelation show. The title would imply that it was about He-Man, but it's really all about Teela, who isn't He-Man. Again, the level of retardation it takes to bait and switch with He-Man and think any actual He-Man fan will like it is colossal. Almost as massive as the butthurt Kevin Smith has felt since proving himself to be the worst liar in Hollywood. You've been in Tinseltown for decades, Kevin. You should be a better liar than this. This is ingenue level. The short of it is that He-Man got rebooted, and someone told Clownfish TV that the show wasn't about He-Man but Teela. They said this, and Kevin Smith claimed that they were lying and that the show was all about He-Man. And then the show came out and proved Clownfish was right, and that Kevin Smith is a lying liar who lies. Now, I haven't watched the show, and I don't plan on watching the show, because I knew what this shit was the moment I saw the trailer. I could tell when the shots are all from the same scene, and it was very clear from the first trailer that all the He-Man and Adam stuff was from the same episode. That was hint number 1 that there was a problem. Hint number 2 was Teela looking like a swole Robert Pattinson. Hint number 3 was the title that conveniently didn't have He-Man anywhere in it. All the promo images focusing on Teela pretty much solidified it. The show would be about Teela and how she's awesome and how Adam's a loser. I expected them to take away his powers, humiliate him for being weak and femmy, and then kill him off and pass the power to Teela, have him say Teela's better than him or any combination of those. And wouldn't you know, they pretty much did all of that in the first episode. There's this saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I've watched people like Kevin Smith fuck over beloved franchises for a decade, especially ones they obviously had no interest in. Kevin would have been in his teens when He-Man was on, and he would have found it lame, which is exactly what he said before about the show. So what possible take could he have on the show he basically doesn't care about other than to make fun of the people who actually liked it? His whole shtick would be to poke at fans with a bait and switch, and he admits this. He said in an interview that people hated Orko. They didn't. So he'd make them like him, and then he'd kill him so people would go, how could you kill that guy you just got me to like? That's him messing with fans in a way he'd never do with something he liked, like with Superman or Green Arrow. Now, I was never a Kevin Smith fan, so I don't feel betrayed like everyone else. I found him to be overrated by the geek crowd who were desperate for validation. I didn't find his stoner films all that impressive, and I never got the obsession over him. That obsession is one of the reasons, if not the main reason, he's so pissed about the backlash. For 30 years, he's had people just riding his dick. This is the first time he's actually been criticized by his own groupies, and he doesn't know how to deal with it, so he's just lying, gaslighting them, accusing them of review bombing, and telling them they don't matter. The thing is, he can't keep his lies straight, so he just makes it worse. Perfect example. He said that the Netflix execs told him that they weren't worried about the backlash because they have millions of subscribers and it's just 10,000 people complaining. Well, sure, except that the millions of subscribers ain't watching everything streaming on Netflix. The only people who are going to be interested in the He-Man show are the ones old enough to remember the original and the 2002 reboot. So your millions of subs mean dick, except to say that all Netflix cares about are subscriptions. They don't actually care if you watch the shows. Then again, if those 10,000 toxic fans didn't matter, what's with all these shill articles like the one in Variety defending Kevin Smith's bullshit show? If it doesn't matter what anyone thinks, why write the article? Why agree to the interview? Why do a podcast about it? Because it actually does matter. Mostly because you split the season into 2 parts, and you want people to come back and watch the second part, but if you piss them off, they won't. And like I said, Kevin Smith can't keep his bullshit together. He says in Variety, quote, "You really fucking think Mattel Television, who hired me and paid me money, wants to do a fucking Masters of the Universe show without He-Man?" Yes, because they did. You put out 5 episodes, and He-Man is in collectively 2/3 of an episode. He doesn't even get a full episode. I don't think Mattel TV gives a flying fuck about He-Man beyond getting people to buy toys, which is why they let you fuck up a sure thing. Then he says, quote, "Grow the fuck up, man." I did. That's why I could see your bullshit coming. I knew you would say shit like this, quote, "I know there's some people that are like, hey man, this show's woke." And I'm like, alright, great. Then so was the original cartoon we're fucking sequelizing. Go watch it again. There are girls in every episode. Deal with it. But they weren't the main character of the show. They had a show for girls called She-Ra. This is He-Man. the show for boys. He and the other male characters should be the focus of the show, not sidelined, humiliated, feminized, or killed off so that the strong women can be lesbians. I also seem to recall someone named Kevin Smith making the same argument about a certain Superman movie, and he ended up stopping that movie from becoming a complete clusterfuck by not having Superman as the main character. But see, Kevin Smith actually likes Superman, so it's different. Look, everybody expects Tila to be in the show. Nobody expects her to be the main character, and that wasn't by accident. Rob David, who's the VP of the creative side of Mattel TV, said that his original idea was for Adam to have to break the Sword of Power into two, losing the ability to turn into He-Man, and then have to build himself up without the power. But according to him, Kevin Smith one-upped him by saying, quote, "What if we don't just break the Sword of Power? What if we actually break Adam too? What if he dies? When we flash forward a few years, we really get to explore that. Also, what is it like for a world without He-Man?" So again, in answer to your question, you really fucking think Mattel Television, who hired me and paid me money, wants to do a fucking Masters of the Universe show without He-Man? Yes, I do. Because they did. I guess this disproves your claim that He-Man was just all over the show. And that also explains this bullshit with He-Man. Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers with another classic name. After he decided to kill off Adam, Kevin wanted to focus on Tila because, quote, "She's been fucking lied to her entire life. And that, to me, was drama. Yes, I tune in to see a Superman show, and he gets killed off halfway through the first episode, and then it's all about how Lois was too stupid to know Clark was Superman, or as Kevin would say, how she was betrayed by being kept out. This results in a show where Tila gets made the new man-at-arms because strong women, gets pissy after Adam dies because he didn't tell her his secrets, seconds after his parents find out the boy just died, and where she has to face her greatest challenge while in hell, accepting how awesome she is. That's not a joke. That actually happens in the show. You told everyone that the show was about He-Man and that he was in the show, and the actual show turns out to be about a bull-dyke Tila whining about how Adam's the worst ever because he was an actual selfless hero while she's a self-absorbed twat. Nope, totally not woke. And as if that weren't enough to make Kevin Smith look like a total ass, he admitted on his podcast that he lied about Clownfish TV to try to cover up for a leak that Adam was going to die in the first episode. So to try to save a surprise that would piss everyone off, he lied about the other leaks. Where have I heard this before? Oh, that's right. Neil Druckmann with Macho Man Abby Savage. Thanks again, Jeremy. Same shit. You got caught and then lied to try to deflect, which only made it worse when the show actually came out. So now they've got a new problem because the show isn't done yet. They've still got 5 episodes to show, but they pissed off all the people who'd want to watch the second part. Who's tuning in to see it? I'm not watching the shit anyway. But I bet a lot of people who were excited to see a serious take on a silly childhood show are like, I'm out. And they're probably done with Kevin Smith too. Now in the Variety article, they say that Adam isn't dead. See, he gets killed in the first episode and then comes back to life later on when the Sword of Power gets recombined, only to get stabbed in the back by Kevin Smith, who then takes the sword and becomes Skelegod. So they needed to spoil their own show because they fucked up so bad. Apparently Adam's not dead, just injured, and now will have to build himself up like David originally intended, and I'm sure Tila's gonna be the one to train and humiliate him so that when he does get his powers back, he's gonna be humbled and maybe give them to her or to the obligatory black super scientist clam slammer pretending not to be Tila's midnight truffle. And if you needed another hit, someone popped onto Smith's podcast to say that there were 120 other episodes of He-Man you can watch. Disney got rid of the expanded universe, but you still have your Thrawn books, so you can always watch the old stuff. You know what? That's great advice. Instead of watching this shit show, watch the 2002 reboot. That's the show you actually want to see. You can watch the 2011 Thundercats show while you're at it. In fact, there are scores of shows, from Demon Slayer to the original My Little Pony from the 1980s, that would be a better use of your time than watching He-Man and the Masters of the Wokeverse. Just a little piece of advice, Kevin. It's probably not a good idea to tell people to go watch something else when you're trying to get them to watch your show. It'd be easier to just say fuck you. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.